I hope you're ready to shed those feelings, make yourself vulnerable to me, and spread open your heart butthole for me. It's been a while since I've done a butthole joke, by the way.
That's the cold open, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome one and all, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Life's a Wreck. I believe, David, this is episode 19, right? I think this is episode 19, which means we are getting so close to 20, man. And you know what that means? That means that we've actually committed our lives to doing something almost 20 times. Which is, all things considered, as two adults who, like, you know, it's hard to do shit because we're old, man. You know, we're doing stuff. We're like adult men, and it's pretty good. Congratulations. We're almost there, David. Pre-congratulations on 20 episodes.
I don't know why you used the O word. I thought 40 was like the new 18 or some shit like that.
Well, I mean, it could. I mean, look, all the Marvel characters are all hot, and they're all like in their 40s. And look at all those dudes. They're all awesome. So that's a pretty good thing, right?
You know, I wish real life was like, you know, the casting of Aunt May, you know, where you just get progressively younger and hotter.
Yeah, if we could all just Benjamin Button ourselves in this world, it would be a lot happier, dude. We just start off old and get sexier the older we get, dude. Or we all get to look like Brad Pitt.
That whole expression is just nonsense. Like, to me, like 40 feels like 80. Like my back is like, you know, just been all kinds of like fucked out.
Well, you also down like a lot of whiskey and pills and stuff like that, dude. You know what I'm saying? You're just down it like it's 1950 and your body doesn't care, man.
My name isn't Sam Elliott. What are you talking about?
It's Don Draper, dude. It's David Draper. We know that, dude. You just don't. It's red meat, cigarettes, booze, and pills, man.
And please stop don't call yourself Ortiz anymore. Son of Ortiz. We've agreed to that, right?
All right, David Castle.
Okay, all
Son
right.
of Ortiz. Copy that. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 19. My name is Bryan Ortiz.
My name is David Castle.
Son of a biscuit.
See, look at that, dude.
Sorry. One more time. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Son of Ortiz.
My name is David Castle, which I got right the first time before Bryan edited out his mistake.
Yeah, okay. Well, let's just move on. You don't need to put me on blast in the first 5 minutes of the show. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. This is the part of the show where I normally tell you what I do, but David kind of hates it now, so I'm going to try and condense it as fast as I can, all right? What is life but nothing more than a series of reactions to educational conversations with one another? And that's what made me and David do. We don't know each other, we don't like each other, but we want to get to know each other better. So we use pop culture social lubrication to spread open our heart buttholes to get to know each other. If you can see me, I did the spread motion, and David was embarrassed.
They can envision, this is the goatsy generation. They don't need you to explain that shit to them.
Oh, my bad. Okay, there we go. Okay, so, sorry, let me say it again. Spread our emotional buttholes open so we can enter one another and get to know each other a lot better. And by the end of the show, we will have become closer friends or greater enemies. We'll decide. There you go, David. Was that short enough and better?
It was short enough, but what I would say is that, you know, people might think we're joking about the whole, like, maybe not sure we like each other, maybe even hate each other. You think we're joking, but if you listen to that last episode, you know that shit is real.
Exactly. Yeah. That's, you know, people at home are probably like, they're probably just friends and it's a show. Joke's on you. Joke's on you, listener. Joke's on you. As you sit
you're
from
like
your
you're staring down the camera like you're looking at the person who doesn't believe us.
I'm specifically calling out one of our 6 viewers who doesn't think this is a true podcast. Okay, not my mom because she knows the truth, but everyone else, you know who you are. We talk. David, hey man, we're still on another week of Work Watch. How are we doing with Work Watch, bro? Where are we at?
I actually applied for a CNN job. They were looking for a weekend sports reporter, or sports writer, I should say. So that's pretty exciting. Still no interviews, man. Like I've had probably like 3 interviews up to this point, and other than that, applied for a shitload of jobs, and that's pretty much it. Like I said, I'm still in William Sadler from Trespass mode.
Okay, all right. So David, how long do we have to wait till you're like, I'm gonna have to work at McDonald's?
It's sad that that we would consider any job just so like low paying and degenerate that like that would be like a source of shame.
I know.
What I'm hoping is I'm like the line cook that Dennis Haysbert played in Heat. And I'm just like, I'm waiting for that one job. De Niro comes in, strikes up a conversation. I've got a job. Yeah, sure, I'm going to get shot the fuck up, in a shootout at the very end. But at least I went out in a blaze of glory. That's the line cook I want to be.
I so desperately want to walk into your home and be like, David, I've got a job for you. And then like, we're doing the podcast full time. Are you ready, David? You're going to get shot a lot. It's going to be real dangerous. And you're going to have no money. You ready to do this, dude? Because I have a assault rifle too.
Normally I would criticize you for turning like Work Watch into a kind of like a show within a show. But I mean, listen, if I don't get like interviews or I don't get like employed, then that's exactly what it is. It's going to be like a week, month, potentially year-long process.
You can live on your castle all you want, David, but at some point. You're coming down to the son of Ortiz and being like, I need a job. I'm like, bro, I got you one.
Oh, man.
All right, dude. Well, hopefully we'll have some more updates on that for guys in the future, ladies and gentlemen. But thank you for staying with us on David's Work Watch 2022, ladies and gentlemen. Pandemic edition. Ladies and gentlemen, we could talk all about your problems, and we can and we should, because today is my topic, right? So I'm going to be grilling you and talking about you, but I want to talk about William Hurt, the actor, R.I.P. As of recording, he did pass away very, very recently, March 13th, 2022, depending when you're reading this, at the age of 71, ladies and gentlemen. And the reason I want to talk about this, David, is because I was reflecting last night as I laid in my bed after eating an enormous amount of unnecessary food because I have health issues. I had a big old pot of melted cheese. Let's not go into that. The big thing is, David, that I sat there and I was watching one of my favorite William Hurt movies, Michael, starring John Travolta.
God, what is your fucking problem? Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Along with William Hurt classic, Lost in Space, another one of my ultimate favorite William Hurt products. I was really into it. Now, the reason, David, is because I was like the right age for that. You know what I'm saying? I didn't see like Altered States and broadcast news and all that stuff until later. When I was a kid in the 90s, those were the things that I was allowed to see because of my mom, right? And those are the things that I attached myself to. And of course, for a lot of younger viewers, you might know him as Thunderbolt Ross from the Marvel franchise as well. That's his most current big name. Shake your head all you want, David, but this Oscar winner is in the Marvel movies, despite what you think. So I want to kind of talk about that and reflect a little bit about his life, his career, and just see where it goes. David, are you a William Hurt fan?
I really want to recreate the Batman animosity here because the first thing you go to, William Hurt, an established actor for many decades, is Lost in Space, nerd property, and General Thunderbolt, nerd property, instead of, say, like Body Heat or Altered States.
Right.
Which, by the way, did you watch those?
Yes. I love Altered States. It's one of my favorite trippy sci-fi films, actually.
So, I know I was being like really rude and argumentative. What was your question?
David, let me ask my question again since you were such a dick. David, are you a fan of William Hurt?
Yeah, it's funny we're talking about William Hurt because I distinctly recall like one of the first, like I can't remember what movie he was in when I was young, but he was like the first actor that I remember watching and thinking, wow, this guy's such a terrible actor.
What?
Because because I don't feel that same way now, but just because he was so monotone. Like when you're young, you're so used to acting as being something like big and like bombastic and theatrical. And William Hurt was always very sort of understated, very reserved, and so like that's one of the like my first things I think of, which is like, man, I remember as a kid, like that was the first time as a kid where I criticized somebody's acting. It's just like, why does this guy sound like, because that's like me, like I have a very monotone voice, a very monotone cadence.
Right, and, you're very monotone.
So like obviously as I grew up, I grew to appreciate the sort of Bourdain voiced actors like Keanu Reeves and William Hurt of the generation.
So William Hurt could be like your voice spirit animal.
Yes. Oh, that's a great way of putting it.
Dude, imagine that. Eagle, wolf, William Hurt.
I think that's a crock of shit.
But I don't know that like there are like necessarily go-to movies for William Hurt. I think just because he's, for as many good movies he's been in, has never been like a real sort of like, except for Altered States and Body Heat, which I think are really good. By the way, I have a hard time watching Altered States because.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, I heard what the fuck he said. You son of a bitch.
Okay. I'm just gonna slip it in there, dude. We can't forget Michael. Man, what a great movie, dude. It was a classic. Dude. 1996. What an era.
I want to throw out some illegal activity here.
Okay.
One of the first, my first time watching Altered States was with some stoner friends.
Oh,
and
my
this
God.
is the first time that I tried, what we know nowadays as like the modern, like genetically modified weed. It's one of the reasons why I can't do that anymore. It's just too powerful. Like my brain is like weak and it can't handle it. So the first time I saw Altered States was when I was high on like the latest strain of whatever like crazy science, like mad scientists like concocted marijuana there is, and it just broke my brain.
Dude, first of all, I'm in shock, David. This is like the most scandalous thing you've ever said in almost 20 episodes of this podcast. It would happen on 19, dude. Dude, what a crazy idea that your brain broke on drugs while watching Altered States, one of the most trippiest 80s movies, and you also had The Devil's Cannabis all at the same time, and you just were like, I'm done with drugs. Like, what a mind-altering experience, dude. What was that? So did you, that movie's trippy for those who haven't seen it, go check it out. But like, I can only imagine, were you sitting there with your eyes like dilated, and you were starting to see like weird things coming out from the TV? Like, how bad was the trip, dude?
The trip wouldn't have been as bad as like if the visuals weren't so insane. Because you got to remember, like, right, like we're talking about a movie where a guy reverts, like, goes back in the evolutionary scale and chart, right? So like he becomes a monkey at one point.
Yeah.
And by the way, what happens at the end? Does he become just like a single cell? Is that what's going on?
I felt like that's what was happening. It got real deep and meta. That's what I felt it was going.
And they're like him and his wife like are like sort of naked in the hallway, embracing before they like do the whole like Ron Silver from Time Cop, like the same matter can't occupy the same space bullshit. Like, and they just morph into this like super organism. So yeah, like it's a terrible thing. Like it's just a terrible thing in general. So I have some like oddly personal connections with William Hurt, insofar as you can have them.
Do you still have like night terrors of William Hurt as like a like ape creature coming at you? You know, you scream at night and like, oh God, William Hurt! Get away from me!
I wish you could do William Hurt impression as a monkey. That would make my life complete.
I think I could barely do a William Hurt impression in Michael.
You know what? We'll get to that in a second. I just want to let me just counterbalance. I think the reason why, to answer your question, why William Hurt doesn't inspire night terrors is because he was also in Body Heat, and for me, like Kathleen Turner, like was just a smoke show, like in her prime. I was like, and I don't know like what that is. You know, you can sort of like put my like weird fetishes on blast, like her and like Teresa Russell. Man, these were just like these hot middle-aged actresses that like I just just drove my hormones insane.
Dave, is this what started your attraction to middle to older aged women as a young child all of a sudden?
I think it actually started with Jodie Foster and Silence of the Lambs, but yeah, you're right. Maybe.
Oh, fair enough. Absolutely. Okay.
And Meryl Streep has always been, even now. Are we going too far? Maybe
no.
We didn't go far enough. Okay, like we got to mention Helen Mirren as well. Still
hold
got
on,
it.
Time out. Helen Mirren is an absolute smoke show. Then, now, and fucking forever. And if you don't believe me, I just cussed. That's how serious I am about how hot Helen Mirren is. And I know that she's an avid listener of the podcast, so if she's out there, nice. Miss Mirren, all respect. I think you are an absolute smoke show and a beyond talented lady. We would love to have you on the show.
I feel like you're just saying that though because she was in like Fast and Furious or some other like nerd property.
Okay, first of all, she was in Red, and that was great, and that's a nerd property, so F off. But she's from Excalibur, dude, my favorite fantasy film from the 80s.
Touche.
Yeah, dude, I can name shit that's not a property. See, well, I mean, I guess technically Excalibur's
the original property. The earliest franchises next to the Bible. The greatest franchise of all, David.
We haven't talked also about like for as kind of like as low key as all of it as his like performances all are, he's somehow versatile as well. Like I remember for some reason this performance stands out. Did you ever see Changing Lanes?
Yeah.
He's in there as just Samuel Jackson's what do you call them, like AA buddy or whatever, his sponsor, and yeah, it's just like surprisingly like just raw emotion, good acting, and of course I'm probably the only one that doesn't like this movie, but like I recognize that like his performance is over the top and entertaining, which is a history of violence. And I apologize for being on brand, like hating like comic book like material.
Right, yeah. I would have nothing else, dude. Again, if it's an IP comic and nerds read it, David's there to shove them in lockers and stick the book up their butt because he does not care. Take your shit, shove it up your butt, and talk to me.
Okay, so listen, you clearly
steaks, cigarettes.
You clearly have a lot to say about not just steaks and nerds and comics up buttholes, but also William Hurt and Michael. Okay, just tell people, what is your obsession with this bullshit?
Jesus Christ, man, just straight up hating on Michael. Let me hear all the Michael lovers out there. At me, please, at our Twitter, Wreck the Pod. I want to see all the love for William Hurt and Michael.
Okay, who is this character, first and foremost? I never even saw the movie, so I'm not going to completely...
My God, you're dogging on Michael and you've never seen Michael?
It's fucking John Travolta starring as an angel. It's like got religious, of course.
Dude,
like
you have no clue what you're missing, dude. Okay, look, Michael is 1996 greatness, right? Where it's John Travolta, like after his like heavyset fat phase, all of a sudden when he couldn't put weight off anymore, and he just kind of stayed big after that. You know what I'm saying? And it was a really nice romantic rom-com. That's the reason I saw it. First of all, was because it was in my mom's wheelhouse, right? And if I had to go where my mom went to go see movies, and she wanted to go see Michael. And growing up in a religious surrounding as far as schools and having to go to church, I was always interested in the stories that are attached with them. I'm not like a believer in religion like that. I'm more spiritual than anything else. I don't believe that there's a God out there and stuff. I believe I'm spiritual, but the stories in the book were always fun, and I always like twisting them and making them weird or different or something. So Michael fit that little realm of weird, where it's a story about a tarnished newspaper reporter who works for kind of like a weekly news type place where they have like, this guy has a 2-headed chicken, and he is going out to investigate this allegation of an angel living with this lady. And when he gets there with his 2 other companions and this girl that he eventually falls in love with, he goes and investigates, and of course he runs into Michael, and the whole thing is really just this romantic journey for him to heal as a person, and so do the other characters, and he falls in love with one of the characters. And Michael's last action on Earth, his last visit before he dies, is that he's going to try and help heal this man along the way in a really fun, kind of silly, romantic, angelic way. And not to mention, just so I give credit where credit is due, Andy McDowell is in it also. Ugh. Bob Hoskins man, you're a dick. Bob Hoskins is in it, and Robert Pastroli. I never know if I say that correctly.
Oh yeah, from Eraser with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Correct. So like, it's got a solid ass cast. Why do you hate Andy McDowell? She's like America's sweetheart in the 90s.
That southern accent, just like it's...
Okay, Jesus Christ. Way to ruin something beautiful, as you do, David. You're a monster. Point is, dude, that movie was just kind of fun, man. It was silly and it was fun, and then I tend to follow along with what my mom liked back in the day, dude. Now, my question is, why do you hate Michael so much? Is it religion? Is it John Travolta? Is it Andy McDowell's southern accent that just drives you up the wall? Which is it, David?
So, listen, like I can't call myself like a Michael hater if I haven't like seen the movie.
That's true.
I think it's interesting, like how you describe it. It almost like makes me want to watch it because it is tough, man. Because I feel like Hollywood has never captured that sort of in between religious films that like feel like they're preaching versus religious films that are like just anti-religion. You get like the Kirk Cameron shit, and
God,
right,
no.
Where it's like, by the way, like religion is only true if you disavow evolution and the Big Bang Theory, yada yada, or you get. I'm trying to think of like a really like mean anti-religious like movie. I can't really think of anything like maybe like Stigmata, but even then, like I don't think of Stigmata as like Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
I like movies that are take the lore of the Bible and the stories that are told in that and like give it a twist. You know what I'm saying? I'll go as far as say, I like things like Legion, you know what I'm saying, that are just like angels who battle on Earth.
You're all gonna fucking die. I was trying to do the old lady. Damn it.
It's pretty good.
Let me also, for the philosophy nerds out there, I'll throw some like red meat your way as well, which is I think theologians there are a lot of theologians that are woefully underrepresented in philosophy, like Augustine, or Ambrose. Just saying, like I think some theologians like understood reality better than some of the quote unquote famous philosophers.
Did you read all those people that you just mentioned, by the way?
Yeah.
Wow. And you really are deep in philosophy. You're not just bullshitting that stuff, dude. You don't just have fancy books on your shelf. You really read that stuff.
You see, and that's why we're always going to be sort of just at odds with the whole like comic book literature thing. But like I said, I'm open to that. Listen, if you buy me comic book, because I obviously can't afford it right now. I'm jobless. You buy me some comic books, I'll read them. Okay,
I'll try to find a adaptation of Michael in graphic novel form so you can read it and enjoy that. One of my favorite other movies of William Hurt, again, more from the 90s because that was my era, right? Was, like I said, I have a huge soft spot for Lost in Space, the adaptation from 1998. Right. Basically, like, that movie to me was awesome because at that point, William Hurt had also done the TV movie version of Dune, which I thought was pretty cool. I think he did it afterwards. That's after, I think. And it was like Frank Herbert's Dune starring William Hurt. I was like, damn, William Hurt, top billing. And I always liked him, and I always really enjoyed that Lost in Space movie despite all its flaws. Lacey Chabert, who played Penny in that thing, was like an icon for me and defined how I wanted the kind of women I wanted to date for like the next 30, 40 years of my goddamn life. Hey, we don't talk bad about Penny in this house, all right, dude? This is a Penny-loving home. Gosh, dang it.
I'm just saying, if you're going to mention all the good of that movie, mention the bad, like, Friends actor, whatever his name is.
Excuse me, Matt LeBlanc was phenomenal in this movie, dude. He had, like, the best scene when he's, like, putting the gun together and the helmet comes over and he's like, I trade it all for a can of bug spray. Pew, 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 pew. Like, what a badass, dude. Mimi Rogers, Lacey Chabert, Heather Graham, Gary Oldman. Come on, dude. It's a great movie. I think you deserves a rewatch for most people. Go out there and deserve. Okay, you know what? I'll throw you a bone, David. I know you hate this movie so much, along with Michael, even though you've never seen it. A really good William Hurt movie that he's in. Granted, not lead, but definitely a supporting cast, which he's really good in. Dark City.
Yeah, that's Dark City is still like a weird watch to me. Like it's a movie that I think is kind of.
I will never pick anything that you like. I will never pick anything.
That's why, like, prepare yourself for disappointment on Old Henry. It's well, it's like I guess the thing about Dark City is it's like it's such like a kind of an like esoteric film.
Yeah.
But it's not like as complicated as most quote unquote esoteric or abstract like films that
you still got to make money and appeal to the general audience.
But I mean, I think the reason why I sometimes like, and by the way, I'm gonna rewatch Dark City now that you like talked about it. Gonna rewatch it. I think what threw me off is that the thing I remember, fuck you. The thing I remember about Dark City are two things. Yes. Fucking Kiefer Sutherland's like dumb performance, which I think is objectively dumb. Like,
yeah, I'll give you that one. I'll give you that. You got that weird. But he's like, oh, let me tell you what you need to do.
Yeah. The like mad doctor like, kind of.
Yeah. But he always has that, and that inflection is like, I am here to help you, David.
He's like a Disturbed song. Yeah, I don't know what he's going for, but
by the way, the only quote that I can ever remember from any William Hurt movie is from Lost in Space, when spoiler alert, they die trying to go like escape the planet's gravity when it's breaking apart, and they die. So when he goes back in time, he has to turn around, and he turns around to Matt LeBlanc, who's trying to fly the ship up through the rocks are flying everywhere, and he goes, "No, we have to go through the planet."
Fucking what the shit?
That's all I remember. If you remember the minuscule, I can remember the minuscule, and that's my news quote for the day. Go through the planet. I can't do William Hurt. Ladies and gentlemen. Don't even try it. Don't at me.
I think my amazement is that of all the lines you remember is that, as opposed to his line in A History of Violence, which is, "How do you fuck that up?" You know, which is, I don't know, he's talking to one of his
because
henchmen.
I saw History of Violence like twice. I've seen Lost in Space like a billion times, dude. I have it literally on VHS, DVD. I have a signed copy of fucking Lost in Space Blu-ray sitting on my shelf.
But if we're being real, because I really want to ignore as much of Lost in Space talk as you're trying to generate here.
Right.
If we're being real, like, I think like he does have a really good line in Changing Lanes.
Give me your best William Hurt. The man who has a monotone voice, he's your spirit animal. Channel this, bro. Give me your best William Hurt.
Well, listen, so for one, I'm trying to get the quote right because I think it's a pretty deep quote.
Okay.
Because Samuel Jackson is trying to, even Samuel Jackson, as he explains all the bad shit he's done to Ben Affleck, tells him, "Hey, at least I didn't have a drink," which is his, A buddy. And then William Hurt is just like telling him, well, you know what? Your fucking drug of choice was never alcohol. You got hooked on disaster. And that's a terrible impression. But the point is, I think that's something
why can't we get William Hurt impressions? Let's see. Hold on. Okay, here's a quote that I like from Michael. It's an emotional moment. Let's see if I can do it. I'm trying to zone in here, through the planet. Come on.
Helen Mirren. Kathleen Turner.
Get monotone.
Get focused.
Well, would someone please tell me what his area is? Don't give me that. That's not my area stuff. Bring him back.
Okay, just stop. Just.
Is that pretty good?
It was awful. But
fuck you, dude.
But
I'm trying here, man.
Listen, I appreciate the effort.
I'm trying to do William Hurt justice.
I think what you got to do is you have to lower your voice a little bit. I'm not saying like Cannibal Corpse.
My tone or my volume?
Volume. No. Well, I would say tone. I think it's more of like, listen, you got to go falsetto. Is it falsetto or fucking A? I can't remember.
Staccato is me going would someone please tell me? That's not right. Would someone please tell me what his area is?
Okay, that's all right. Lower? We're getting there. Okay. The baritone is the.
Don't give me that. That's not my area stuff. Bring him back. Trying to be monotone at the same time. How was that? Was that better?
That's better, yeah.
Right. We got a long road to go, ladies and gentlemen, to get that William Hurt.
We don't have. Listen, we're both like just suburban Latinos. We don't have like the voice versatility to really like go hard on these like William Hurt, Anthony Hopkins impressions. I think we just have to set our standards low.
I still think we can do Michael Caine impressions. I still think we could do Michael Caine impressions. What's the point of doing all those bloody push-ups if you can't even lift a bloody log? Right? Come on.
Man, you were almost there, but you ended up doing Australian. That was straight Crocodile Dundee.
What's the point of doing all those bloody push-ups if you can't even lift a
That's
log?
Australian. You sound like
I don't
Cliff
know what
Curtis.
you want to tell you, dude. That's how it is. We could go on and on about how good my Michael Caine impression is and how I'm developing my William Hurt. But the real, something I wanted to ask you is celebrities, actors, sports stars pass away, right? And sometimes it's really sad. And then sometimes for a lot of people, it's like really painful, right? I know that when Harold Ramis passed away, that was a real gut check for me. Because that man, when I was a kid, really taught me that it was okay to be weird and nerdy and like sciencey stuff and like weird stuff. And Ghostbusters taught me that through his work, through his performance, through his writing, his comedy. He had such a look and a feel that made me feel comfortable about myself. So it hurt, right? And we attribute all of these feelings to people that we've never met before, but we seem to be very attached to them. My first question I wanted to ask you, David, is like, in your lifetime, has there been anyone of that stature, whether it goes from sports to writers to philosophers to actors or actresses, that have passed away, that have really hurt or impacted you, where you're like, God, this one really hurts that this person is gone in this world?
Man, that's a great question. And one of the things like I tend to not do when it comes to celebrities passing, William Hurt included, is stand for these people. Because I just feel like when you achieve a certain status and have enough money, it's very hard. I don't want to say it's hard, but it's just like, that's the culture, right? A lot of these people that are rich and famous, you think about like how many people, loved Woody Allen growing up. He's a piece of shit, and just like, right. I think a lot of just, when you have that much money, you just tend to be a piece of shit. So like when somebody famous, rich and famous dies, like I don't, to be honest, I'm not just trying to say this to be like, you know, quote unquote, be cool. I don't care. Like their work, I'll love, and their performances, I'll love. I respect the fact that there are obviously people that are hurt, you know, like people that are related, you know, William Hurt's friends,
Sure.
family, and so forth, right? Like I respect that. So that's why like I don't go on social media and start digging up old shit. But I think that maybe like the closest that it got to me was maybe like Anthony Bourdain.
Really? Why Anthony Bourdain?
I think because he was right. So he was also in the circles that I'm familiar with, which is MMA. Right. So I don't know if you know this, but Anthony Bourdain was an avid Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner. So he got coaching from, you know, some famous UFC fighters, and it was just kind of part of that UFC world, part of the MMA world. And because of that, he also brought in, you know, a very kind of sort of more of a free thinking kind of liberal voice into a universe that is otherwise very just fucking insane. Like, you know, you find just some of the most toxic people in that sport, and Anthony Bourdain kind of being peripherally connected to it was nice. It was like a candle in the dark, right? And
Gotcha.
And in addition to the fact that, like, you know, he just seemed like a genuinely good guy. The work that he did in, like, seeing, for example, like fine cuisine in like Vietnam, like places that you would never really think of going, and him just kind of using food as a vessel to also kind of talk about like how it should connect us, and just taking this really sympathetic approach via something as just, you know, simple as just like some fucking street food, you know, in Guadalajara or Cambodia or whatever was really cool. And yeah, so when he committed suicide, sucked.
Right.
And I try to avoid all the fucking Nirvana, Kurt Cobain-esque gossip around like,
Sure,
you know, why he did it, who was responsible. He took his own life. That's on him. So I would say that's as close as it's gotten, but otherwise, no.
That's a very interesting answer. You know, and again, I don't know William Hurt as a person, right? And I'm not celebrating the loss of this person's the deep inside person, because I don't know that person, right? You know, sad for the families and the friends and those who were close, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of these people have done bad and will do bad, but they also leave a legacy of work. And I try to judge the work itself, right? I don't know William Hurt. William Hurt has never known me, never will know me. None of his family knows me. Nobody cares, right? But what he did on screen and the work that he provided us did something for me, and I am grateful for at least putting that out there in whatever form or fashion, right? And so I celebrate the artist's creation versus the artist sometime, if that makes sense. What I find interesting most of all, David, is like, you know, of all the people, of course you would hate all artists because everyone's a monster to you, and that totally tracks with your history of hating everybody, which is why I'm surprised you even talk to me sometimes. But I am very fascinated that you choose Anthony Bourdain. As you talk about him, it sounds like you're describing, in my opinion, yourself, which is very interesting.
Oh.
You connect to Anthony Bourdain through the sports side and through the food side. And like, if that is literally you know, tore down, plus Magic the Gathering, you fucking closet nerd. And you put that together and you're kind of the same idea. You connect through food. You have always recommended excellent places to me. You know what I'm saying? You're the guy that I go to if like I want to impress my lovely lady and be like, David, I can't just fucking take her to McDonald's. You've got to give me the good places to go. Where do you buy like snails shoved up a fox's butt and you eat that while it's being steamed and then you vape it? You know, like that would be you, because you would know where to go. So it's so interesting that I guess we all pull certain aspects and traits from these people that we connect to. And I think the idea at the end of the day is that we connect with them in some form or fashion, or pull something from them that has done for us. But I think that really says a lot, dude, that you would choose the guy who's very similar to kind of your motto. Let me ask you this, like, before, do you feel that there was an influence of Anthony Bourdain's lifestyle that was imprinted onto you, like a baby duckling seeing his mother for the first time?
No, I mean, like, for one, I wouldn't even say, like, consider myself, like, I didn't watch all of his shows. Like, probably my favorite thing Anthony Bourdain did show-wise is when he had, like, him and another chef. I can't remember Sean something. He was another kind of famous chef. And his friend was like, you know what? I realize the bar you set for how good food tastes is very high. However, I swear by the Waffle House, let me take you there. And if you look it up, you'll find a video where Anthony Bourdain and his chef buddy are eating at Waffle House, and he's fucking enjoying the shit out of himself. And it's the perfect Waffle House experience because there are police lights in the back, like in the parking lot.
It's perfect.
Clearly,
dude.
a crime
It's
is
so
taking
Waffle
place.
House.
They're enjoying pecan waffles, patty melts.
How can you respect that but hate all the fast food places I talk about all the time?
Listen, man, fast food is no different than anything else. There are degrees. To me, Waffle House is like... Plus, you get to see them making the food. Waffle House is like up there in terms of just like junk food.
Now, do you like Waffle House because Anthony Bourdain likes Waffle House, or do you actually like Waffle House? Damn, my throat got super deep on that insult, bro. That was really weird. Like something got mad inside. Yeah, dude, something got mad. I'm still pissed that you made me not like William Hurt now, and I was just like, I gotta mock David viciously. Let the devil out, you know. So apologies, David. I didn't mean for it to sound that mean. My point is, do you like the Waffle House because Anthony Bourdain liked the Waffle House, or do you actually like the Waffle House?
See, like this is just so unimaginative. For one, I'm a breakfast guy, right? Like breakfast is my favorite meal of the day.
I didn't know that. Okay, that makes sense. We had that lovely breakfast / brunch during your wedding.
Yeah, and it might be like a recent thing, like because I feel like I'll have like a heavy breakfast, heavy-ish lunch, and then I won't be like hungry for dinner. I'll have like a snack during dinner. It's kind of like my
okay. You're a breakfast guy. Did not know that, David.
Yeah, so I think maybe that changed over time, but no, like I think it's just more of right. It's like kind of like what we talked about with the whole like the time travel episode and like regret. It's like, well, it's like a chicken or egg thing. It's like, yeah, sure, like it's nice that somebody like famous and with higher esteem enjoys the thing I like, but also I liked it already. So there's just kind of this sort of feedback loop with that. But also like his writing, like Anthony Bourdain was a very, very good and accomplished writer. And so listen, like I don't like exalting the sort of the artist lifestyle, because to a lot of people Bourdain led a very rock star-esque, the kind of classic artist lifestyle where he just went around the world, did everything. His last girlfriend was a famous actress. And so like I don't think that's like fucking sexy anymore. Like it's listen, man, like there was a time when like the leather jacket and the bad attitude was like super cool, but not anymore. Not anymore.
You mean we couldn't put you in a dope leather jacket and you'd be a badass eating vape tacos somewhere? Come on.
For the same reason that like we don't like go around like calling people like gay anymore, like it's an insult. Like yeah, sure, some people.
Are you saying leather jackets are so out? It's in the realm of saying GAY to
leather
people.
Leather jackets are homophobic. No.
Jesus Christ, dude,
listen,
I still wear leather jackets. What does that say about me?
Do you really?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah, dude.
Get the fuck
dope
out.
ass leather jackets. You want to rock with me, a leather jacket, bro? Walk down the mall together, hand in hand, leather jackets.
Oh man.
So why not? Why are you so against? Where does the idea in your life of to not idolize someone come from? Is that an upbringing from your parents? Did they instill such confidence in you that you didn't need to seek legitimate approval or connection with someone who's like on a higher level than you? Do you know what I'm saying? Where did that stem from? Is it just because you're rock solid from your parents and how they brought you up?
You really make me sound more like, again, I'm the unemployed one, right? So I mean, you're making me sound way more like confident than I should be or self-assured.
Right.
But it's funny you were talking about Michael, and I cannot believe you've somehow brought Michael, the philosophy of it, into real world like problems and dilemmas. But I do think growing up, part of it was just like sort of that progress towards disbelief. As I like felt like, man, you know what, man, freaking this mass delusion of religion is just ridiculous. Like, fuck religion, right? Which, yeah, that's a lame way of approaching it. Like, you don't want to disbelieve in something, just like emotionally. But of course, that became more nuanced, right? My transition away from religion became more nuanced. I'm at a point where I actually respect, theologians, take their opinions seriously, but I'm still not a believer. And so I think that's kind of where it started. It's just, yeah, good foundation, good support, but also like we tend to, like, especially as Americans, I think we tend to view things through such like the lens of the individual, the power of the individual, and just if you just like believe strong enough, a thing, you can do anything, that kind of thing.
Absolutely, the power of a person.
Right.
I mean, that's our whole life has been taught, like, if you believe, you can achieve.
Exactly.
It's a picture of me hanging onto a wire, and I'm just like holding on like a cat. It says, if you believe, you can achieve. Coming to our store very soon.
I would love to see that.
A picture of just me hanging onto a wire. Just says, I believe you can achieve. Man, we should make a series of inspirational posters. Dude, with the amount of quotes and stuff that you say, David, throughout this whole show, most of them probably like really mean. Man, they'd be very funny inspirational posters.
I'm not so sure about that, but what I do know is that I don't think that reality is like that. I think reality is much more sort of a kind of a communal process. Like I look at, I wish I could find a better, less selfish example, but I think about like the book, like, so the novel that I finished that I desperately want to be a thing.
Right. Perfect segue, bro. That's the best thing to talk about is your novel.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I know.
Absolutely.
There's like
the greatest example that I can think of comes from my own novel. Let me tell you about it, okay?
So what I was going to
continue, please tell me.
What I was going to say is that like it doesn't feel like my own. I had friends look at certain scenes, and that could include you, by the way. Friends look at because I'm not quite done.
He hasn't let me read it.
Friends look at scenes because I felt like, okay, I have to nail this thing. Let me get your opinion, but also. Just the fact that I wouldn't have been able to write this if, for example, I didn't have a professor, a mentor like I did in college, a philosophy professor that I highly respect, who kind of put a lot of these ideas and this information in my brain, along with like parents that stress certain things about me as a person, like either that I should be educated, or like my dad's side, that I should have like a goofy ass Three Stooges sense of humor. So the point is, like, I look at this novel as like people coming together to help me write this, as opposed to something that I just came up on my own and like I'm fucking like inventive and creative and I'm the shit. And I'm like, no, like none of that would have happened without all those other factors. So to me, like, that's like a communal process. And I guess when you take that approach, well, then like one person dying in terms of what they represent for you is never going to mean the same thing to me.
David, as much as I love talking about this, we are at that time of the show now where we've come to the end. I know.
I didn't get to ask you about why you brought up William Hurt in particular. What is it about William Hurt that you respond to?
I know. We'll have to do a follow-up episode to that is what we'll have to do.
Why don't you just cut the whole learned about section and then you tell me?
Absolutely not. David, you're literally telling me to cut the whole point of the show, and I will not do that for you, David. Because the show's not about me this time, David. It's about you, my guy. So if you want to learn about me, David, then you come up with a question and follow up next week. But I have to now reflect about what I learned about David.
I got the perfect topic for you next week. But anyways, go ahead.
Awesome. Cue the music. David, as always, I've learned quite a lot about you in this experience. One, you took something I loved, the work of William Hurt, and you kind of destroyed it. But that's what you normally do. As you are as a person, I continually try to find what makes you tick, and much to my surprise, it's usually nothing. I don't understand you sometimes. You seem like a dead robot inside, and yet somehow through those bolts, I know that there's a soul inside, and I think it's there, and I found it. Like one of the things I learned about you today that is so impressive is, one, I didn't know you were a breakfast guy, so we got to get breakfast because I love breakfast. But two, you continue to impress me with your rock steady core that is still there. Sure, it's surrounded by a lot of whiskey and pills and garbage and crap and ego and shit. But like deep down, exactly. But deep down inside, you're still this rock solid Mexican nugget of beauty that I'm always impressed with every time. You don't need validation. You know what I'm saying? You don't look up to a higher being or a higher anything, whether it be God itself or even celebrity status people, because you have your own self-worth, your own path, and you find connections in other ways. But you don't need that searing need of validation or connection with someone higher than you, unlike those of us who have daddy issues, who require the need to be loved by people who don't even know us. You don't need that. You're solid, and you are rock still, dude. Even when you're jobless, you're still a rock, my dude. And that's what I learned about you today. David Castle.
Dude, I was waiting for the part where you don't even need a job. That's how confident you are.
Yeah, you don't even need a job to validate your life, dude. You're on your own track as a self-proclaimed successful author. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. Thank you for staying with us. We can't wait to talk to you next week, because next week will be our 20th episode, so we got to do some fun stuff for that. Ladies and gentlemen, if you like what you heard, please don't forget to share, like, give us 5 stars, and give us those reviews. If you give us 5 stars and give us a positive review, we'll probably read it on air. If you give us 5 stars and a bad review, God, I want to read that even more so on the air, so long as we get those 5 stars, because we're greedy as hell. We want to hear from you guys. Please, we'd love to hear from you. Any type of topics of conversation, anything that you want to know about us, and we would definitely love to have some people ask us some advice, because we want to give out some good advice to you, because we're 2 people who have gone through a lot of weird shit, and David's a rock. So you can hit us up at recthepod@gmail.com. That's recthepod@gmail.com. You can also add us at Twitter at recthepod. We also have an Instagram and a TikTok that we are going to start populating very soon, so keep an eye out for that. You can find all of our stuff in our link trees and social medias here and anywhere else. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Son of Ortiz.
My name is David Castle.
David, any last thoughts before we leave?
I still want an answer. What about William Hurt's voice, just his voice, attracts you?
Watch Michael, and there's your answer.
Fuck.
Life's a Wreck is an FC podcast production created by Bryan Ortiz and David Castillo, recorded in our homes and edited by me, Bryan Ortiz. Theme song and outro by Hard Power USA. Check them out on SoundCloud. And please let us know what you think about the show by rating us and leaving a comment. You can also email us topics of discussion for future episodes at recthepod@gmail.com. That's recthepod@gmail.com. Hey, thanks for listening to our little slice of the podcast world, and we'll see you at the next episode.